نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given human being many abilities which we can group under his intellectual capacity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes frequent mention of these abilities in the Quran. And He also tells us that if we use these abilities, we are able to understand a great deal of what's happening in the universe around us. So for example, He says, look, I have sent water down for you. And now through this water, you are given to drink. Through this water, your plants grow. And you graze your animals on that greenery that grows because of that rain. And He says, in this there is a sign. There is a sign for people who have the ability of fikr. فكر إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون هو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء لكم منه شراب ومنه شجر فيه تسيمون ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains what happens with all this water. So many different things grow. And He says, in this there is a sign for people who have the ability of tafakkur or fikr. Now, fikr doesn't simply mean think in this context. It means to ponder and reflect beyond the apparent. And one is that a person can see plants are growing, trees are growing, fruits are growing, rain is falling, people are drinking the water, animals are drinking the water. This is what is apparent. But what is behind it? That there is a system behind all of this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is running for the benefit of the human being and under the human being for the benefit of all the other creations that are there to serve them. Now a person could sit down and deliberate on this and look at the meticulous arrangements Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making, and that would connect this person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then He goes on to say that, look, I have made the system of night and day subjected to you, meaning I put it at your service. وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارِ. Night and day have been placed at your service. وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرِ. The sun and the moon have been placed at your service. وَالنُّجُومُ مُسَخَّرَاتٌ بِأَمْرِهِ. And even the stars and the celestial bodies, they have been placed at your service by the command of Allah. In this also there is a sign. There are many signs. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. For people who use this second ability, which is called aql. Now fikr, I mentioned, is to look beyond the apparent and to use one's mind to sort of connect the dots and the missing pieces and find the links. Find the links that will take a person to the source of what the issue is. And the source of the issue is what I just mentioned. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this arrangement for the human being, this meticulous, very fine-tuned system. And within this system are thousands of systems. In the second place He says, there are many signs in this nizam, the system of day and night and sun and moon and stars. For people of intelligence, we use the word intelligence for aql. Aql can be translated as intellect or intelligence. But the literal meaning of aql in the Arabic language is that which is used to restrain someone. That thing which is used to restrain someone. That thing which is used to keep something in check. So aql, in fact, like the hadith when the Sahabi asked that, okay, I want to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but should I tie my camel and trust Him, or should I leave the camel and trust Him? So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, i'qil wa tawakkal. Tie it and trust. So, i'qil, the word aql is used. Iqal is that which is used to tie an animal, anything of a rope type of a nature, rope, reins, so on and so forth. So it is that thing which keeps the human being in check. It's where a human being reflects and says, wait a minute, at what point should I stop? Somebody is experiencing anger. Okay, everyone experiences anger. But how do I keep myself within limits? So the aql is that thing which helps you define the limit of something and says, I need to stay within this. I can't go beyond that limit. Somebody has an idea in which they want to achieve X, Y, and Z. So now, in the beginning, their mind might tell them, yeah, I can do all of these things in order to achieve it. But then upon deeper reflection, upon using the power of aql, say, well, wait a minute, I need to do this by staying within these limits. I need to set these boundaries for what I'm about to do, because such and such thing is not feasible, such and such thing doesn't make sense, such and such thing is not rational, such and such thing is not legal, such and such thing is not lawful, such and such thing is beyond my capacity. So aql is what allows them to come back and walk in a way which makes much more sense. That's why the intelligence and the intellect is called aql. Then he goes on, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and talks about وَمَا ذَرَأَ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُخْتَلِفًا أَلْوَانُهُ. Look at the different types of land and different types of creatures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created throughout the land. So many different colors. Some places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the different colors of the mountains, and all the different human beings of different colors, and all of the variety of colors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put. And He says, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً. Therein also is a sign. لِقَوْمٍ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. For people with the power of dhikr. And dhikr, while it means to remember, dhikr also means to be able to take a lesson. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. The Quran is called dhikr because it is a reminder, those who can take a reminder. So, there are signs for people of fikr, people of aql, people of dhikr. If somebody has these abilities, or I should say everyone has these abilities to some extent, if someone starts using them in that way, then everything that they witness in the world becomes a very powerful message and reminder to them. And if we don't use these abilities, and we have them inside, if we do not use them, then it just seems like life is going on. But وَلِلَّهِ فِي كُلِّ تَحْرِيكَةٍ وَفِي كُلِّ تَسْكِينَةٍ شَاهِدٌ وَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. In every movement, in every stillness in this universe, there is a sign pointing in one direction. In everything is a message saying, Allah alone is the one doing all of this. And that's who I need to connect with. And that's what the power of fikr and aql and dhikr are for. It's to take a person towards their true master, their true creator. What has happened is that we do use our intelligence, we use our faculties to varying extents, but we don't necessarily use them for what Allah has given them to us. Yes, we can use these faculties to do beautiful things for ourselves in dunya. We can use them to gain all kinds of education. We can use them to create all kinds of projects, businesses, and elaborate systems and run them. And all of that it's a part of this worldly life. But if we were to dedicate some of our intellectual abilities that are given to us by Allah and focus on these things, then our life would become so much more meaningful. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not kept the contentment of the heart in the things of this dunya. There is a difference between that gratification that we feel, that joy that we feel when we get something, that's normal. We feel this joy, this happiness. Somebody gets something new, whether it's a new article of clothing, or it's a new vehicle, or a new home, or a new item in the home. There is this joy, there is this happiness, and that's fine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, use it. But this should not be misunderstood to be the source of contentment of the heart. Now, as long as I have this, my heart's going to be content. As long as I have this car, I'm going to be a happy person. Yes, the advertisements would have you believe that. You get this one, that's it. Your life is set. You'll be the happiest person around. In fact, the marketing that is done for every product is done in this way. If you your life is just missing this one thing. If you have this, your life is made. It could be anything. It could be a pen. It could be a toilet. But the way they're advertising it is that you need this. Without this, you're missing out on the whole thing. So we, in our sort of cycle of consumerism, we jump to this and then, oh, I'd like to have that. Oh, if only I had that and this. Look, worldly possessions they're worldly possessions. They're things to use. Okay, somebody will have a fancy one, someone will have a simple one, someone will have many, someone will have few. It doesn't really matter. You use what Allah has given you. These are ni'mas of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Use it. It's absolutely fine. But to confuse this with something that's going to give contentment to my heart, this is a big mistake. That contentment can only come from the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, using these things is subject to, and if we want the right results, there's another element that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have as well. It's not just having the ability to think and reflect. In one place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in all of this, إِنَّ فِي اخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَمَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَّقُونَ. In all of these systems of day and night and the heavens and the earth, there are signs, but those signs are for people of taqwa. So here we have, you can say, an overarching quality that must be present in the person, and then their power of fikr and aql and dhikr, all of it is harnessed in the right direction, if taqwa is there. And if this quality is not there, then, well, there are many intelligent people in the world. Many of them are not Muslim. Many of them have not recognized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many smart people creating beautiful things, innovating, amazing things. But the idea is to use what we have to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now look, the month of Ramadan is here to give us taqwa. So just like we talk about spiritual advancement in the month of Ramadan, the Quran here is, if you look at the themes of the Quran, we can understand that Ramadan is also a time for our intellectual advancement. It's a beautiful opportunity of our intellectual advancement because taqwa will give us that. Just like taqwa will enable a person to use their wealth properly, to use their time properly, to use their body properly. Taqwa will also point their mind in the right direction. They'll be thinking the right things, thinking what they need to think today, thinking the thoughts that they need in order to be productive in this life and to gain in the akhirah. So this is something that needs to be done. Our mashayikh tell us that, all the time there's a conversation going on in the head. The mind is talking, hadithun nafs. All the time there's something going on in the head. Sometimes we should stop and try to play back what just happened in the last 30 seconds. What did I just think? Try to translate it as if you were saying those words out loud. What would that sound like? Would that sound reasonable? Unreasonable? Intelligent? Unintelligent? Would that sound productive? These thoughts, this is a real playing through the mind. But sometimes from day till night, it's just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. Then we fall asleep, and then of course the effects of what we're thinking carry on into our sleep. And then again we start another day. We might be saying one thing, doing something, someone's at work, someone's with their family, someone's playing with their children, someone's reading a book, but there's this thing, this real self-talk. It just keeps going and going and going. That needs to be looked at. That what is this? What am I thinking? And this is one of the greatest intellectual feats of a human being. It doesn't require huge amounts of education. What it requires is time by ourselves, seclusion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all these there are terms that have become sort of labeled as Sufi practices, but it has nothing to do with any Sufism. Or you can call it Sufism if you want. There's nothing wrong with it. The practice of muraqabah, what is called muraqabah, what today everyone says meditation. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is meditating today. They've got devices to help you meditate. What are those devices? They're shutting out the noise in your head. That's all. They're quieting your mind down. Look at the apps that are available today, readily available on the market, to help you meditate. What are they? They're just emptying the thoughts, because there's so much traffic in there, it's distracting you from the moment. There's so much going on in your head, you're not able to even focus on what you're doing right now, whether it's eating, whether it's a piece of homework, whether it's an assignment, whether you're talking to someone. There's so much going on. But the ulama created these exercises, these meditations, in order to achieve this thing. And one of those meditations is take stock of what that conversation is. And if it's useless, imagine if it was written on paper and you had to read it. If it's a useless conversation, stop it. Can you stop it? Some people say, I can't. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. But you can, if you give yourself some time. Sitting down in the masjid 5 minutes before salat is a beautiful way to do that. You don't need to go to a khanqah to do this. You just come to your masjid, come 10-15 minutes early, and take stock of what's going on in this head. Is it right? Is it wrong? Remember, this subconscious discussion that's taking place, this monologue that's happening, this is affecting every single thing that we do. It's affecting our ability to do what we need to do or not do what we need to do. So once you control that conversation, at least you take stock of it, become aware of it. Oh, wait a minute, did I just think that? Why did I think that? What was the benefit of thinking this? What is this going to get me in dunya? What is this going to get me in akhirah? We sit down and we take stock of it. And then we start replacing the useless talk. That talk which is just empty noise in our head, we start replacing it with the remembrance of Allah. We start replacing it with the remembrance, with thoughts of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These muraqabahs that were taught, that's what it was about. Replacing it with thoughts of the qabr. Wait a minute, let's put everything aside. What if right now I was in my grave, I was being laid in my grave? What would be going on with me at this second? I have been laid down. I'm covered with dirt. People have left me. Angels are coming and questioning me. What's going to happen with me right now? Now that's something to think about. I am standing in front of Allah in the field of Hashr. What's happening with me right now? I am standing at the mizan where my deeds are being weighed. What's happening with me right now? Imagine if a person starts getting in the habit of thinking these things, how different their day and their night will be. How different their priorities will be. So look, Ramadan is a chance for us to harness this ability, for us to really make our mind one of the most powerful things, one of the most powerful tools to connect us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, with profuse remembrance of Allah, dhikr of Allah, synchronizing the heart and the mind, both are on the same wavelength. And inside both is nothing but Allah. So this is a direction we need to move in. This is something that everyone needs. And then we will start feeling what is called the contentment of the heart. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. We will start experiencing this contentment of the heart. And no matter what's happening in life, no matter what storms are raging around us, the heart is content. All of this is coming from Allah. Allah wants something from me. I'm going to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, and the results are all in His hands. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlighten our minds and our hearts through this blessed month, and enable us to use these minds also in a way that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah rid our minds and empty our minds of useless thoughts or sinful thoughts, inappropriate thoughts, and any such thought that could be held against us in dunya or in akhirah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in.